Hello, divine creations, divine marvels, children of God. A warm welcome to anyone who's new to this channel. This channel is about a very special man named Bruno Gröning. You can find out more about him in the link in the chat box or the link below. And the making of this video, it's 2 days after the anniversary of Bruno Gröning leaving his body. So I'm spending some time reflecting on Bruno Gröning's life, his work, his legacy. Yesterday I shared a lot of my own personal feelings about Bruno Gröning's coming. And today I felt inspired to share some of Bruno Gröning's own words about his life and his work. I'm going to be reading from I Give You a Little Wisdom of Life. This is volume 2. And I'm reading on page 11. My wish has always been not to help just one person, but all human beings who live on this great divine earth. So it's hard to fathom, but Bruno Gröning came here not just to help. Yesterday I talked about the personal feeling, wow, Bruno came to help me and you and many others. And any of us who have received help, we probably feel that way, or hopefully feel that way to some extent. Yet Bruno Gröning understood his coming here, that he came here for all of humanity. He came here to help everyone. You know, I spent a lot of time in my last video saying, I just can't fathom Bruno Gröning's coming, or the width and the depth of how much help he did. And here's just another example. He didn't come here just to help a few of us. He came here to help the human race. Now, connected to that is something very interesting. He said about what it means to be a child of God. You know, I start these videos, hello, divine creation, hello, divine marvels, hello, children of God. Well, what does it mean to be a child of God? And I've often talked a lot about how Bruno taught that our essence remains pure no matter what, that's part of it. And here's another part. Bruno said, I always keep saying, love your neighbor more than yourself. We humans must never forget that we are children of God. We must help whenever we can. Now that's a very interesting statement. If I'm understanding this correctly, as children of God, it's part of our, you could say, duty, vocation, calling to help others. And I would say to learn how to help others. Isn't that interesting? Because so often, at least kind of the way I was raised and the culture I was raised in, life was about getting what I wanted. Like that was the meaning of life. Like, what do I want? And go get it. But according to Bruno Gröning, as children of God, we all have a calling, a vocation to actually give, to see what can we give. And I would say that Bruno exemplified a life of, just absolute service. My mission, my goal, aims at helping people, aims at healing people. And I would say even more than just his mission, his life was his mission. In fact, he once said, I came here to give my life. I'm paraphrasing, but my life does not belong to me. It belongs to the people of this good earth. On page 12 now. I won't back off 1 single millimeter from helping people. My path continues, come what may. May God be with me. So as many of you know, Bruno's work was just opposed very deeply. Yet he continued. And so I've been talking about this lately, we are aware of the outer opposition, lawsuits, and I've talked about this before, but people tried to kill Bruno. At least one occasion, I believe multiple times, his food was poisoned. And Bruno knew this. On one occasion, I didn't read the account directly, but someone told it to me. On one occasion, the person who poisoned Bruno's food was still at the dinner table. And so Bruno was aware that the food was poisoned. And normally Bruno didn't eat a lot. But in that instance, I believe what happened is he ate the whole meal and he looked at the person and smiled the whole time. Oh. And of course he just, I don't know, absorbed the poison or burned it up but so that's a funny story, but behind that story, people were trying to kill Bruno Bruning. I can't even fathom, but that's what he was up against. Evil hated him and did everything in its power to stop him. Whenever here and there a person appeared, this is another quote of Bruno's, whenever a person here and there appeared who not only intended to do good, but also carried it out, nothing was left untried to get rid of this person. It doesn't seem to be any different for me. I'll continue. I don't want to talk about my battle. No, I must assert myself to convey the healing from our Lord God and through our Lord God for you, who have already been waiting for your healing for years. I have in short not had a quiet hour, and I'll renounce this for the rest of my life. This is what I am here for, after all, and I feel obliged to devote my whole life to your health. And here, health, of course, the word is Gesundheit, the German word, and it doesn't just mean health, it also means vitality, aliveness, wellness. So let's sit with that again. So Bruno said, I have not had a quiet hour, and I'll renounce this for the rest of my life. So I've talked about this, how uncomfortable it was for Bruno Gröning to be here on this planet, and yet he was here and endured this hour after hour, not having a quiet hour. The evil was always after him, internally and spiritually, and then oftentimes, well, I can't say oftentimes, sometimes externally, and yet he endured it. Why? For you, me, and we, for us, and as we read earlier, for the entire human race. Here's another quote of Bruno's. It was hard. These are difficult years. My path is not rosy, but there is only one path I must walk, a thorny path. And this path is so blocked, so obstructed, that I have to clear it. I will clear it. And when I clear it, it keeps getting blocked again. So when I put all these different quotes together, Bruno's life was about one thing, helping. And not just helping individuals, but helping the human race. And he was opposed, and it was very uncomfortable, painful, challenging. Yet he endured it. And he endured it out of the love of God and the love of you and me and the human race and the desire to help. So Bruno was captured during World War II, And he did all sorts of things to try and make conditions better for the prisoners, for him, not so much for himself, but for the other German prisoners. And at a certain point, the Russian guards, they were Russian, the Russians captured him and his troops. At a certain point, the Russians figured out, like, this guy, this is a special man. And they offered to let him go, to release him. They actually started to feel some reverence for Bruno Gröning. And Bruno said, no, I'll only go if you release my friends. And they said, we can't do that. And he said, so I'll stay. And so I think if any one story captures the essence of who Bruno Gröning was, it's that story. Because my understanding is he didn't come to this planet out of necessity or need or karma. He came on his choice because he wanted to help. And that he knew how hard it was going to be. And he still came because he cares about you and me and the human race. Just like in the Russian wartime prisoner camp. He could have stayed comfortable where he was in the other world. And he said, once someone has seen the other world, it is so beautiful and glorious, they will lose interest in this worldly life. So, we have ideas like paradise and heaven and, oh, won't it be great? But Bruno, because someone asked Bruno, well, why can't we know about heaven while we're here? And that was his response. He said, if you really knew, not so much heaven, but the other world, if you knew how glorious the other world was, you would pay no attention to your worldly life and you would not want to be here. You would want to leave immediately. It's so beautiful. So that's where Bruno Gröning was. And he asked God to come here to endure all this pain to help all of us. Who can fathom? Who can fathom? What is love? I've heard many explanations, definitions. And I think that's the Bruno Gröning asking God to come here solely to help us, to help the human race. To leave a place of unspeakable glory, wonder, and beauty, so that he could endure years and years of pain, hour after hour after hour. As it said in what I just read, he said, I don't get a quiet hour. I think that's one of the purest definitions or expressions of love I've ever heard. Thank you for saying hi. Oh, good. Glad you got your copy, Nat. Hi, Luna. Well, now there's 5 of us. Let's see what Luna had to say. And no worries, Luna. And thank you. There's 5 of us on here. Let's sit together. Let's tune in. We'll see what's next. All right, beautiful souls. Wow. Got a lot of people on here. I would love to stay. There's time for me to go get some lunch. I wish everyone a beautiful, beautiful day. And good reflection on Bruno's teachings and on the gift that Bruno gave us, his life. Thank you so very much. Take care.